everyone. Thank you for coming out to this event, first of all. We really appreciate it. So, my name is Katie Tidwell. I'm 16 years old, and I will be starting 11th grade at Centennial High School this fall. This will be my 12th year in Girl Scouts. Throughout these 12 years, I have enjoyed doing many service projects for veterans, so I was honored to be asked to speak to you all about my respect and appreciation for the greatest generation. Tom Brokaw once said, "It is, I believe, the greatest generation any society has ever produced." He later went on to write a book about this group of people called The Greatest Generation. When I first heard about this book, I had two questions. Which generation was he referring to, and what made them, that generation, so great? I decided to try to find the answer to the first question to start. I learned that the greatest generation lived through the Great Depression and went on to fight in World War II or work in industries that contributed to the war. Okay, that was a good start. Now I knew who the book was about. But I still needed to find out why. What made that generation so great? Was it the food they ate, the clothes they wore, the fact that they didn't waste all their time taking selfies? I really think that last one might be a part of it. I mean, I have spent almost 3 hours trying to find the perfect lighting. Anyway, as I was doing some more research, I learned about how the Great Depression devastated the United States. Beginning in 1929, the unemployment rate skyrocketed from 3.2% to 24.9% in just 4 years, leaving 12 million people without jobs and thousands more losing their jobs every day. To make matters worse, World War II began, and I still can't believe they went through all this without complaining to their friends on Facebook. Now that's impressive. When the United States entered the war in 1941, the focus on the Great Depression was forced to a halt. All of the country's effort was put into winning the war, and it paid off. The United States began the war with an army smaller than Portugal's and ended the war with a navy larger than all other countries' navies combined. How did the United States bounce out of the Great Depression and win a world war without looking up how to do it on YouTube? This, my friends, was done by none other than the greatest generation. They overcame hardships many of us could never even imagine. After the stock market plunged, leaving millions in poverty, a war broke out that was fought on 6 continents where 60 million lives were lost. Overcoming challenges to achieve something great can only happen with determination and courage. It can only happen with confidence and character. It can only happen when a person believes anything is possible. And that's what the greatest generation believed. There was no, "we can't do this," or "this is impossible." Instead, it was, "we can do this, and this is possible." These phrases are what made the difference between letting the Great Depression destroy the United States and winning World War II. My grandpa, Robert Tidwell, was part of the greatest generation. He was born in 1916 and experienced the Great Depression as a teenager. He went on to fight in World War II and fought in the Battle of Normandy. He was a captain in the Army in the Heavy Artillery Division. Although he passed away before I could meet him, I am still incredibly thankful for the sacrifices he and the 16 million people like him made for our country. I tried to think of one word to sum up the greatest generation. I was thinking of adjectives like determined or ambitious or hardworking, but none of these seemed to fit. Sure, the greatest generation was, at times, all these words, but none of these words completely summed up their legacy, in my opinion. However, I eventually did find a word. It's not just an adjective like strong or brave. It's not a word I use when I'm texting my friend who's sitting right next to me. It's not an adjective to describe them as people, but rather a word to describe the legacy they left behind. The word that I think is the perfect word is endless. Their courage was endless. Their legacy is and will continue to be endless. During the Great Depression, they had an endless amount of faith and hope, believing they would make it through the hard times. During the war, they had an endless amount of bravery and willpower that would help them win. And since 1945, their legacy has been endless. If the generation during the Great Depression and World War II had not had this attitude toward life, we might have never gotten out of the Depression. We might have lost World War II. We might not be here today. Every single person in the United States knows about the hardships of the Great Depression and World War II that the greatest generation overcame. If you are a part of the greatest generation, please listen as I speak to you. And I speak on behalf of the entire country, my generation, the generations before me, and all the generations to come, when I say thank you. Thank you for making sacrifices to fight for the good of our country. Thank you for not giving up when the times were hard. Thank you for leaving an endless legacy in the United States of America. We will remember you forever. We will be grateful to you forever. We will appreciate you forever, because after all, the greatest generation was and will always be endless. Thank you.